Engaging auto defense.
Lasers. Like I give a shit. Raise your hands and back up. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Ooh. Edvin! Did we back up the footage from yesterday? Really hope that you enjoyed that short intro skit, because we had a lot of fun shooting that, and there will be like a separate behind the scenes video on that. But in this video we're going to talk about something else. We're actually going to talk about the subject in that video, which was the NAS drive that I hacked. And if this is your first time watching me, I just want to say hi, hope everything's good, and hope you're gonna enjoy the video. And for those of you that have been around here on the YouTube channel for a while, I don't know if you are following me on Instagram, but you definitely should, because there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I post there. So head over there, check it out, and let's have a good time. Oh, so back when I just picked up a camera, the files weren't as big as they are now, and I also didn't really think of the entire storage process of the videos that I made or the photos that I took. So what I did was that I just offloaded them to a regular good old HDD and then uploaded it to Dropbox. I actually think that this was my very first big storage device that I had, and this is just a regular 2 terabyte drive that is great to have at home or as your first storage device. But if you're working with video, I highly recommend you to go for a NAS, because if something were to happen to this, then you're screwed. But the NAS gives you another step of security, and then you can store all the most important things on this as well, so you have 2 places where you can back up your stuff. And as the files has become way larger than they were just a couple of years ago, it's also almost impossible to work directly from an HDD nowadays. And that is why I started to upgrade to SSDs, because I was doing this client job, and just as I got done with the edit and exported the video, my HDD crashed and I lost all the footage. So I couldn't go back and look back through the footage and try to sell them even more clips. So that was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go all in on SSDs. I know that a lot of creators are buying the same brand over and over, but I've actually tried some different ones out just to see which one I think works the best. And so far, I think that the Samsung T7 is on my top list, but also the lazy 2 terabytes that I've been using for a long period of time. They look good, they're sleek, and they're super fast as well. And when I'm working with a project, I am always working directly from one of these, and that is because it doesn't slow down your computer, and you can also bring it with you wherever you go. I don't know, it just feels better to work directly from this. But then again, SSDs are extremely expensive, and if you're gonna store a lot of files, then this is gonna cost you a fortune. And then the question arises once again, where do you store all the footage that you have lying around? And that is where NAS comes into play. The NAS drive that I have here in the office is the Asus Tor Locker Store 10. Some of you probably already know what a NAS is, but maybe you don't. And A NAS is basically a bunch of disks put together in one single unit that can work together so that you create, instead of having like one disk that is 4 terabytes, you create 10 disks of 4 terabyte each, and that gives you like a total capacity of 40 terabytes. It's a 10 bay NAS with 8 gigabytes of RAM and also an SSD cache memory. And the cool thing with the NAS is that there is a system in these storage units that is called a RAID system. And in the one that I have here in the office, there's something that is called a RAID 5, which is basically that it uses all the disks and creates like this one big unit that you can store all your files, but it also has a one disk redundancy, so that if one disk were to crash, or if you were to like remove one disk, you can still access all the files on your NAS drive and replace that disk with a healthy one if that disk were broken. And that for me is just so good to have here in the office. But it's very important to remember when you set up the NAS drive that you do it correctly, because when I was setting up my first NAS unit, which is a 4 bay, I think you can see right here, I actually bought 2 4 terabytes and 2 8 terabyte drives and set up a RAID system on that. The downside though is that when the RAID system starts to work, it creates a RAID system from the smallest disk in the unit. So the 8 terabyte drives that I had in the unit were scaled down to be 4 terabyte drives instead of 8 terabytes. So it gave me a total storage space of around 10 terabytes, but what I thought I would get was 24 terabytes. So it's very important that you buy the same size disk whenever you're setting up a RAID system, but there is a bunch of different RAID systems that you can use as well. I'm just using RAID 5 because it works well for me, and it's also the one that I found to be the most stable and usable for the things that I do here in my studio, my office, my man cave. Another great thing with a NAS unit is that you can access the footage or access your files anywhere in the world if you have it connected to the internet or to your router. So the way that I've set it up here in my office is that I have one switch right here under the NAS that both the 10 gigabit Ethernet ports are connected to. And that switch is connected to the router that's standing right here, which is a 4G router. Unfortunately, I don't have any fiber in this building, otherwise it would have been connected to that. But 4G is very good here in Sweden, so works very well. And I've also dragged an Ethernet cable all the way to Edwin's desk over in the other end right here so that he can upload the footage that he's shooting onto the NAS so that I can access it on my computer. But this switch is also connected to the switch that I got over here. And this switch is connected to my old NAS so that I can access this as well. But I've also dragged an Ethernet cable all the way out to the new studio space, directly to the bar. So if you're coming over and you want to sit down, have a drink, take some good environmental footages of Gothenburg because you want to do a vlog, then you can just plug in your computer, download the footage that you want, and you're all ready to go. And I'm also going to put up another switch right here that I'm going to drag an Ethernet cable across this beam till this desk so that we can have an office space out here, but in there as well. And being able to access the footage no matter where you are in the world is going to make things so much easier whenever I want to create more videos for you, even if I'm not here in the studio. I gotta say, I'm a real huge fan of the blue and green. Might just keep it. What do you think? Drop a comment down below. And I think that one of the most important things when you're setting up a NAS unit or a big storage unit is that you start right with the file management. Otherwise, it's gonna be chaos. Like, we all know how it looks like on the desktop after 1 year of having your computer. Like, there's folders that are saying like desktop 1, untitled folder 4, and then it's just chaos. So when you're having a NAS drive, think of it as a library where you store everything that you might need to know that you might need to have in the foreseeable future. So the way that I've set up my files in my NAS units is that I've started out with the type of file that it is that I'm having. So say for example that I want to structure my video work, then I create a folder called video, and in that folder I create a folder that is called the year that I shot the content that I had. And as you can see here, I have everything structured in my video folder from the year 2015 to 2021. And if we go into 2019, for example, then you can see that I have the client videos, commercials, environmental shots, products, and everything else. And if I want to have like a product b-roll from a product that I tried out 2 years ago, then I can just go into products, choose the product that I want to have, say Sony. We're going to choose the 24mm GM, and then product shots, and then bam, choose the shot that I want to include, and there we go. Simple as that. It gives you a very good overview of what you have on your drive without having to like trying to search for what it is that you want to find. And say for example that we go into environmental shots, the way that I've done here is that I have the location. So let's go to Gothenburg. There's a bunch of different dates, and if I go to 19th of February, then you can see in the morning, and then here we have everything shot with the A7 III. And if we go to the 27th, then you can see that we have sunrise with the drone, look at that, and then sunset with A7 III or a drone, depending on what kind of footage that you want to have. The biggest thing, of course, is being able to back up everything that you have, like your computer, your phone, and everything else that might need to be having a backup every now and then. You can just put it there, and then you know that, okay, now I know where it is, and if one disk were to crash, then it's all good. And I've been using a NAS unit ever since 2019, and this is something that I can highly recommend to anyone. But if the 10-bay locker store is a little bit out of your budget, ASUS Store also has a bunch of different ones that you can choose with a 2-bay or a 4-bay, depending on how much storage that you want to start out with. So I'm gonna drop a link down below and you can go and check it out, but I highly recommend you to have one because it's gonna save you a lot of headache in the long run. So yeah. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do give it a thumbs up. And that intro, it's gonna be a behind the scenes, I promise, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed, that'd be highly appreciated as well. And what do you think about the new lighting in the background? I was actually inspired by ASUS Tour because they have blue and green light, so in the entire video, like the entire short, blue and green light, and here in the office while I'm talking about the products as well. Kan jag ta through, va? Right, Peter from Sweden saying thank you for watching. Have a good one wherever you are. Take care. I will see you in the next video. Hula bandula. Hej! Kommer den här. Slänger runt det. Man märkte alltså inte att det hänger med en pungkula här. För stolper man här ute. Det är ju kört så.
Det får du aldrig använda.
Nej, jag vet.